We had the fastest car, but every time we get to the top three, a caution comes out. Can't show how fast your car is when you're back in the pack. All you can do is just keep making positions, back up to the front over and over and over, and eventually you just run out of laps and somebody else wins.
NASCAR fans, you already know we're about to dive headfirst into some wild Kansas Speedway action, where things got spicy between Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain. Hamlin had the fastest car out there, but ended up finishing 8th. Can you imagine the frustration? Meanwhile, Chastain, out of nowhere, snaps his 30-race winless streak and leaves playoff drivers like Hamlin scratching their heads. You gotta ask yourself, did Hamlin's conservative strategy cost him big time? Or was Chastain's no pressure, all gases approach the real game changer? And what's the deal with Hamlin's pit road drama? Loose wheels, bad calls, and restarts that make you want to scream. Have you ever wondered if the whole stage points game during the playoffs is actually holding drivers back? Hamlin says it does, and Kansas might have just proved him right. And let's not forget, Talladega's up next, a track known for crushing dreams, and you know anything can happen there. So can Hamlin recover? Or are we looking at another meltdown? Let's break it all down. Buckle up, NASCAR Nation. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. All right, let's get straight into it. Kansas Speedway, the place where dreams were supposed to be made, turned into a total nightmare for Denny Hamlin. The dude had the fastest car in the race, but what happened? He ended up finishing 8th. Talk about a heartbreak. You've got pit road problems, untimely cautions, and straight up bad luck. It was like watching someone take a cake out of the oven, only to drop it right before serving it. That's gotta hurt. It was like every time Hamlin clawed his way back to the top 3, boom, a caution comes out. Next thing you know, he's restarting on the 15th, and you can't show off that speed when you're stuck back there with the pack. We bet Hamlin was straight up screaming inside that car, like, "Not again, worst day ever." That's what Hamlin said after the race, and can we blame him? The dude has been in a slump since April, hasn't won since Dover.
We had the fastest car, but every time we get to the top three, a caution comes out and we restart 15th, 20th. Can't show how fast your car is when you're back in the pack. All you can do is just keep making positions, back up to the front over and over and over, and eventually you just run out of laps and somebody else wins. There's a lot of wires crossed and bolts loose at the moment, so I'll just do the best I can to drive the car and do my part.
He's sitting there, 11 points above the cut line going into Talladega, which, let's be real, is like walking into a lion's den with a meat suit. Anything can happen, and if you've followed NASCAR long enough, you know Talladega can chew up your playoff hopes and spit them out. Now, Hamlin's average finishes at Talladega and the Charlotte Roval P16 and P25 aren't exactly giving fans much hope. Yikes. His playoff hopes are on life support, unless something changes fast. The man himself admitted, "I'm not in it mentally." That's rough to hear from a dude who's been in the game as long as Hamlin. Wires crossed, bolts loose. That's not exactly what you want from your championship contender, right? If you're as hyped as we are about the NASCAR playoffs, make sure to drop your predictions in the comments, subscribe to our channel for the latest NASCAR news and driver stories. But let's flip the script here. While Hamlin was stuck battling the racing gods, Ross Chastain came in like a wrecking ball and ended a 30-race winless streak. 30 races, y'all. Chastain's been out here racing for pride, no playoff pressure, and he showed why non-playoff drivers are the wild cards in this whole system. You gotta love it. Chastain, the man with nothing to lose, goes full speed at Kansas and straight up disrupts the playoff picture. Denny Hamlin said it best on his podcast, "Actions detrimental non-playoff drivers can take those bigger risks because they're not worried about stage points or securing their spot in the next round." And Chastain? He just proved that point big time. Chastain didn't care about stage points, man. He was out there playing for the big W, and it paid off. Meanwhile, you've got playoff drivers like Hamlin and Larson playing the conservative game, stacking up stage points like it's Monopoly money, but that strategy can bite you on certain tracks. At Kansas, Chastain showed why sometimes you just gotta go for it. Now, speaking of Denny's podcast, he laid down some hard truths about playoff strategy. Playoff teams tend to get all cautious, racing for stage points rather than going for the win. Hamlin even admitted teams become more conservative in the playoffs, and that's why you get these non-playoff dudes like Chastain coming out of nowhere to snag the win.
Roll the dice.
Absolutely. That's the advantage that they're going to have, the non-playoff drivers will have, is that they don't care about the stage points. You're going to see us at the Roval and all these racetracks selling out for stage points. Well, then what happens is all the cars that flip, they're just going to end up front. They're going to be the ones that are racing for a win, not the playoff cars. That's the downside. And you heard it, that teams become more conservative in the playoffs. Kyle Larson actually mentioned it. Yeah, Kansas won. We were all out.
But he said, I feel as though people get more conservative in the playoffs because you have to be more aware of the points once you get in there.
Now even Kyle Larson backed that up on Dirty Mo Live as he said, people get more conservative during the playoffs. And everyone saw that at Kansas. The playoff drivers were playing chess while Chastain was out here playing checkers and winning. But let's keep it real. Hamlin's been having some serious struggles this season. He started the year strong, but as soon as the playoffs hit, it's like his team hit a wall. At the Quaker State 400 in Atlanta, dude barely even tried to move up the field, relying on wrecks and cautions to gain positions, and it backfired. Hamlin finished 24th. Same story at Kansas, fastest car, but can't convert it to a win. So now Hamlin's 11 points over the cut line, heading into Talladega. He's got one of the most unpredictable tracks coming up, followed by the Charlotte Roval. These two races could either make or break his playoff run. Survival mode is officially on for Denny and the number 11 crew. Speaking of JGR number 11 driver Hamlin, there's been a lot of talk about his longtime sponsor FedEx possibly pulling out of the game. After close to 2 decades of backing the guy, FedEx might be hitting the brakes on NASCAR. If that happens, what's next for Hamlin? Does he stay with Joe Gibbs Racing? Does he jump ship and start racing for his own team? The sponsorship game in NASCAR is getting real messy, folks. The JGR driver is out here talking about how much love he's got for FedEx, saying they took a risk on me back in the day.
It's been a fantastic partnership that we've had, nearly 20 years. They're the ones that really took a risk on me running the Xfinity Series about 5th to 8th every week, and JD Gibbs said that this is the move we want to make and put him in there. That risk paid off for many, many years, and couldn't be happier to be aligned with FedEx, and certainly I've got to do a lot of great things with them off the track as well. I certainly feel happy about that relationship, and certainly it happened because of Joe Gibbs and his relationship, but certainly been very proud to represent that company.
But let's be honest, if FedEx dips, Hamlin's gonna have to start thinking about his future. Whether that's staying loyal to JGR, or maybe rolling the dice on 2311 Racing. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out in the next couple of seasons, especially with Hamlin's contract running out in 2025. But no matter what happens with sponsors, Hamlin's legacy is solid. The guy's a Daytona 500 legend. He's got wins for days. But there's one thing missing, that elusive Cup Series championship. If he can't get his act together in these next few races, his 2024 playoff run might end in heartbreak. Meanwhile, back to Chastain. This Kansas win is huge for him, especially after such a long drought. Trackhouse racing has been on the rise since 2021, and seeing Chastain back in victory lane is proof that this team is here to disrupt the field. And hey, don't forget Daniel Suarez is still in the playoffs, so Trackhouse could still make a deep run this season. Chastain said it best himself. This is what Cup racing is all about. We're here to disrupt. And boy, did he do just that. It's gonna be wild to see how this shakes up the next few races, with non-playoff drivers taking risks, and the playoff contenders just trying to survive. So there you have it, folks. Hamlin's playoff struggles, Chastain's game-changing win, and the future of NASCAR hanging in the balance. One thing's for sure, these next few weeks are gonna be a wild ride. But the question is, will Hamlin make it past Talladega and the Roval, or will his playoff dreams crumble under the pressure? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get this discussion rolling. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe for more interesting stories and updates from everything NASCAR. Do share this video with your friends. Until next time, keep the conversation going on Lucky Dog on Track.